Rio has been on my list for quite a while, probably since around the time it first came out in 2011, and it's definitely one of those films that I always meant to get around to seeing. I never did, and I can't believe that much time has passed. But I do think it was worth the wait. It was directed by Carlos Saldanha and has a pretty great cast, including, but not exclusively, Jesse Eisenberg, Anne Hathaway, Leslie Mann, Jane Lynch, Wanda Sykes, Jamie Foxx, will.i.am. Really fantastic voice cast, and the animation quality itself is definitely what I would have expected. Um, it's from Blue Sky Studios, who did things like Ice Age and Robots, so straight away I knew the animation itself would be very good, and it is. Visually, it's stunning. The soundtrack as well is fabulous. Constantly. Uh, every song in this just hit the mark. And the narrative itself is pretty interesting as well. It's about this macaw called Blue. He lives in Minnesota with his owner, Linda, and it turns out that there is one other blue macaw left, and it's a bird called Jewel, and she's in Rio de Janeiro. And obviously, they want to make sure that the blue bird, the blue macaw, doesn't become extinct. So Linda agrees, perhaps initially reluctantly, to go and take Blue to Rio with the intention of mating the birds. But when she gets there and the birds first meet, first of all, they don't hit it off. Jewel is very feisty. She just wants to escape. She doesn't care about mating. She wants to escape the place where she lives. And she kind of forces Blue into doing this, but things don't go to plan, and instantly they find themselves in a dangerous situation where they're not free and they're not technically escaping. And what happens is a wild goose chase around Rio as some bad guys try and take the birds to somewhere they don't want to be, and Linda tries to find Blue. And it's a little bit heartbreaking because just anybody who's ever been separated from their pet unexpectedly is really emotional. And of course, she took Blue to Rio not really thinking that this would happen. And it is quite, there are definitely very emotional moments if you're a pet person. It is a very fast-paced narrative, and the soundtrack goes along with that very well. There are some scenes set around the time of the carnival, which is fabulous, beautifully animated, really engaging, very lively. It's definitely a good bit of tourist advertising for Rio, I think. And whether or not it's an accurate representation, I've got no idea, but certainly it made me intrigued. With regards to how the narrative developed, I think it got to the point pretty quickly. It gave us a few minutes of setting up to learn what Rio's life at home was like, and then it got to the main point of the narrative, and they travel to Rio pretty quickly, and we meet Jewel pretty quickly as well after they arrive. And we also meet countless other birds of countless species, and they all have different personalities and different things that they bring to the narrative and the adventure or quest for freedom and safety, I guess. And that works very well. We have a brilliant cast of birds with a brilliant voice cast behind them, and I thought it was pretty good fun. I'm not going to say how it concludes, but it was touch and go. There were times when I thought, how are you going to resolve this in a way that is going to be satisfying? And I won't say how it ended, but I will say that I think it worked very well. Everything made a lot of sense. There's nothing about the narrative that I would have asked to have been done differently or would have changed. So I really liked it. It's not my favourite animation of all time or anything, but yeah, it ticked every box. There's nothing about it that I think should have been done differently. The animation quality is great, the voice cast is great, the narrative development is great, the characters are likeable or love-to-hateable, and the voice cast, I think I mentioned that, are great. Yeah, so for me, it ticked every box. It was definitely worth the wait. If you haven't seen it and you're a fan of animations, it's definitely one to add to your to-watch list.